Big breaking news, Joe Biden has finally emerged from his basement. Well, sort of, and very quickly, and right back to his basement. On Monday, after 2 long months in hiding, he appeared in public for the very first time. He laid a wreath at the Delaware War Memorial. And of course, following his brief appearance outdoors, Biden headed right back to his basement, where he's continuing to bumble his way through one virtual part-time campaign podcast after another. So it is now still officially day 72 of Biden's basement run. And in all honesty, it's more than he can seemingly handle. But Joe Biden thinks he's doing just fine. Just listen to Joe.
I don't want to get down into giving him nicknames, but this is a fellow who looks like he's having trouble controlling his own emotions. What worries me is, all this stuff about Biden's hiding. Well, the fact of the matter is, it's working pretty well.
Oh, hiding is working great. Now, someone on his staff might want to remind him about a couple of recent train wreck interviews, pretty much daily now, because on Friday, Biden actually declared that he was going to beat Joe Biden. Take a look.
Are you prepared now to say you're going to govern as a progressive and enact programs in the mold of Sanders and Warren? And if so, what does that say to either moderate Democrats or independents or even some Republicans dissatisfied with President Trump?
I'm prepared to say that I have a record of over 40 years and that I'm going to beat Joe Biden. Look at my record.
He says it's B. We'll let you decide. But what progressive means is that means new Green Deal economic death for America. And that's not hyperbole. At this point, he's doing a pretty good job of beating himself. Also on Friday, he had another disastrous interview with radio host Charlemagne, and it was so bad that one Biden staffer actually tried to interject in order to prevent his ever-confused, confounded boss from having to answer any more questions. Take a look at this.
Black people saved your political life in the primaries this year. They have things they want from you, and one of them is a black woman running mate. What do you say to them?
What I say to them is that I'm not acknowledging anybody who is being considered, but I guarantee you there are multiple black women being considered. Multiple.
Well,
Thanks so much. That's really our time. I apologize.
You can't do that to black media.
I can't do that to white media and black media because my wife has to go on at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
Oh, I'm in trouble.
Oh, I'm in trouble. Moments after that cringeworthy exchange, then Biden told the same host that you ain't black if you don't support him in the election. What? Take a look.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
Okay, Biden is now facing a predictable wave of criticism. One day after the interview, Charlemagne said that Biden is an intricate part of the system that needs to be dismantled. The founder of BET called on Biden to apologize to every black person he meets throughout this campaign. Even prominent Biden supporter, Congressman James Clyburn, who bailed him out of South Carolina, was clearly taken aback. Watch this.
I cringed, no question about that. In this instance, Joe did not do as well as I had hoped in responding. But I will say this. I go about my business every day, comparing Joe Biden to the alternative, not the almighty.
Biden, ultimately, his half-hearted apology saying he shouldn't have been such a wise guy. But what Biden said on that radio program was more than just a one-off campaign gaffe. We all know that. It is now part of a long, never-ending, disturbing pattern of racial rhetoric. Remember in 1977, Biden worried that his children would grow up in a, quote, racial jungle if integration is not done in an orderly way. 1993 said the inner-city crime was caused by predators on our streets, supported a crime bill that ramped up prison sentences all across America. Donald Trump fixed that, by the way. Slight observation. 2006, he told the crowd, well, you have to have a slight Indian accent if you're going to work at a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts. 2007, how could we ever forget what he called Barack Obama? He's the first mainstream African-American who is articulate and bright and clean. It's storybook, man. His words, not mine. He bragged his state was a slave state. The guy also played the race card. They're going to put you all back in chains. 2019, he bragged about his work with segregationists to get things done in the U.S. Senate. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. Let's take a look.
The largest growth in population is Indian Americans moving from India. You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent. I'm not joking.
What kind of a chance would a northeastern liberal like Joe Biden stand in the South?
Better than anybody else. And you don't know my state. My state was a slave state. My state is a border state. My state is the 8th largest black population in the country. You got the first sort of mainstream African American who is articulate and bright and clean and a nice looking guy. I mean, that's a storybook.
They're going to put you all back in chains.
Bright, articulate, clean. In addition to what you saw, Biden has a really bad habit of lying about his role in the civil rights movement. 1987, he told crowds that he marched in the civil rights movement and participated in sit-in protests. He was later forced to admit that was a lie. The plagiarist himself, as we recall the first time he ran for president, Neil Kinnock in that case, more recently lying about getting arrested by the apartheid South African government while on his way to see Nelson Mandela. Biden was never arrested. And during Biden's disastrous interview on Friday, he claimed that the NAACP had endorsed him every time he ran. But in a recent statement, the NAACP said it had never endorsed Joe Biden because it's a nonpartisan organization. The question tonight, with just 161 days until Election Day, and you, the American people, become the ultimate jury, does anyone actually believe that this 77-year-old lifelong politician, do you really believe he has the stamina, the acumen, the mental alertness, the moral compass needed to serve in what is the hardest job in the world well into his 80s?